Good morning. So I've got a report from RT, and this is definitely a significant update to the situation going on in the Middle East. So apparently, multiple U.S. bases were attacked with missiles and drones, says the media. This article goes on to say Iran backed militias have attacked four U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria in a 24-hour period, Al Mayadeen News reported on Sunday. The attacks came after U.S. forces launched an airstrike against Iranian targets in both countries in an unsuccessful bid to deter the militias. The Islamic resistance in Iraq announced on Sunday that it had targeted the al Shadidi base in eastern Syria on Saturday with two drones and launched rockets at another American base in the Al Omar oil field near Deir ez-Zor, Lebanon-based news channel A Mayadeen reported. I'm sure I get all the names wrong. So here's the deal with this, right? Um, it says right there, both countries and let me repeat. The attacks came after U.S. forces launched airstrikes against Iranian targets in both countries in an unsuccessful bid to deter the militias. I wanted to make sure because it's just a little blip there, but that's an important blip to point out. It kind of they kind of glossed over that. It says the strike on the Al Omar base set off secondary explosions inside the facility, Al Mayadeen sources said. The channel's sources also said the missiles were fired at an American base in Karab Algir in northeastern Syria. In Iraq, the Islamic resistance said that the fighters had attacked the U.S. base at Al Tanif near the Syrian and Jordanian borders. The Islamic resistance in Iraq is an umbrella term for Iranian and Hezbollah linked militias operating in the country. One of these groups, the Iraqi Hezbollah Brigades, told Al Mayadeen that the attacks are a response to U.S. support for Israel ongoing air and ground campaign against Gaza. Now, there's been reports that there are some 5,000 American troops actually on the ground helping them on that mission. I can't personally confirm that. I don't, I'm sure there probably is American troops on the ground, but I can't definitively show you here they are. You know what I mean? It says militias have carried out near daily strikes on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria since Hamas fighters launched their surprise attack in Israel on October 7. All the bases hit on Friday and Saturday had been struck multiple times in the preceding week, prompting the U.S. to launch airstrikes on Thursday against bases in eastern Syria that U.S. President Joe Biden claimed were used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and affiliated groups. Following the airstrikes, U.S. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby warned that U.S. forces would not hesitate to take further actions in our own self defense if American outposts continued to come under attack. Instead of heeding Washington's warning, the Iraqi Hezbollah brigades announced on Thursday that it is willing to fight a war of attrition against the enemy that will extend for years, according to an earlier Al Mayadeen report. So we also have, it was in the news that I had put out, I believe this morning, um, more or less them saying again, this is not going to be a quick battle. This is going to be something that is going to take a significant amount of time, and I'm sure a very significant amount of lives on both sides. This is definitely the war that we don't want, but I have a feeling it's the war that we're going to get. And my advice, as I've been saying all along, don't choose a side. You don't have to. That's the biggest misconception of society is that we have to pick a side. No, you don't. You don't have to pick a side. That was brainwashed into people as well as given multiple options, the multiple choice, right? Because all they got to do is funnel you into one of two choices and they got you, just like they did with politics. That's all they got to do. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. Why do you think the founders of this nation were so worried about a democracy? Because that's what it always comes down to, because mankind has got this instinct of competitiveness. And, you know, of course, different human beings can control themselves at different levels with different things. You know, some people don't have control in those areas. It still spells the same no matter what for us. I want to reemphasize that because I say it all the time, and I mean it. We can talk about the news from sun up till sundown. We can talk about the news the entire rest of the night. But there ain't a damn thing that we can do to change that, to stop that. So that the only thing that we can truly do is hedge our bets for ourselves and our loved ones, and I hope people are starting to think a little bit bigger now and considering neighbors and maybe their community. Maybe whole hiding out in a hole with a box of crackers plan is a failed ideology. Then we really need to understand these Hollywood preppers, okay? You hear them all the time. If you hear a prepper referencing a prepper channel referencing a movie as an example, I should say don't walk, run the opposite direction. Because that's the problem. And that is why not a single YouTube prepping content creator has a plan in place to be able to keep the combustion engines running once the fuel supply chain is broken. And it doesn't matter how many times you bring it up to them, they know all. And they don't need to know that. They don't need to know how to be able to produce enough food because, well, they read a book that people did it back way when. Right? People, we can do it again, right? Just lickety split, right? I'll just look at some trees, right? We got some trees here out there. I'll just look at some of the trees outside there, and I'll just be like, plow, you know, plow, cedar, whatever you call the stuff. I'm not a farmer. It don't work like that. Just like I'm not gonna go up in the hills there and go find me some wild mule. Is there such a thing as a wild mule? I don't know, but a wild mule, and I'm gonna bring them here to the cabin, and with the implements that I made from snapping my fingers at the trees, right? And we're gonna be able to plant, harvest, and process enough food to feed people and animals. Oh, yeah, it sounds kind of goofy, don't it? Huh. Wouldn't it be a little bit easier if we got the combustion engines running? Wouldn't that make life a lot easier? It would. But because it involves a little bit of technical knowledge, somebody that may be a little good at tinkering, well, then it's just worthless. We don't need to go there. We don't need to focus on that, right? Prepper channels, right. You guys all got the plan. You're gonna snap your fingers at the trees, right? Right. Folks, be smarter than them. Wood gasification. The WatchmanNews.com resources tab, right? Click on the resources tab at the WatchmanNews.com, and one or two options there is going to be FEMA gasifier plans or something to that effect. It's a PDF. Download it. Even if you personally do not know how to do that, somebody around you may be able to look at the information that you downloaded and hopefully print it out. Don't just download it. Print it out on paper and put it in a safe place, even possibly in your safe. It is that important. Even if you don't understand anything that FEMA gasifier PDF says on it, maybe somebody around you will. Feel me? If people don't have the information, it's hard for them to put the plan into action. So as long as we can get a lot of these plans out there in people's possession, literal printed copies, we can surely save millions of lives, countless amounts of grief. And for the quote unquote spiritual prepping channels out there that want to talk about how they're saving people, here I'm literally millions of lives could be saved here. And y'all ignore me because you don't like the messenger because he won't bow down to you. And I only got one word to that right there. I'm not bowing down to anything or anyone but the Creator. All I am trying to do is what He told me to do. Spread the word about pole shift, wood gasification. We are running out of time. Anyone can't tell. Get to it, because the whole finger snapping thing at trees, it don't work very well in VR, and it really doesn't work very well in reality either. Shalom.